Outer Wilds, Absence and Finality. That surely sounds like a pompous and overly poetic title, doesn't it? Hello people of the internet, I'm Maxwell, or Max for short, and this is pretty much my first video ever. So before we begin, I'd like to say sorry for my accent that is all over the place, and sorry for my possible mistakes I'll make here and there. This game is truly something. This is the kind of game that you can only play once, and that kind of experience that makes you wish you could selectively forget about just to live it from scratch once again. I feel like it's a no-brainer, but I'll underline that this video is going to contain all sorts of spoilers, so if you didn't play it, yeah, go away. I'm not joking, go get the game. It's truly worth it. I sincerely advise to try it yourself first. With that being said, let's dive into it. Outer Wilds is a space adventure where you, as an Earthian, travel around your solar system exploring the different planets and trying to uncover the secrets of a past civilization, the Nomai. However, at the end of each day, you witness the sun going supernova and your life ends. Only that, thanks to a special statue, you find yourself stuck in a time loop that pushes you to try to unravel all the various mysteries and find a solution for the impending doom. That, I'd say, is a very, very surface level summary of the game's story. The game is smart, using clever game design to make exploration entertaining, building itself mostly on the curiosity of discovering more information about the Nomai and essentially making sure that that very curiosity is the prime engine to move forward into the adventure. It even made quantum mechanics a part of the game design, or at least an easy to comprehend version of it. Each different planet brings its own mechanic. Timberhurt itself is quite simple, as its main role is to serve as the beginning point and sort of tutorial of the game. At the same time, it teaches you the importance of trying to explore every nook and cranny, rewarding you for jumping inside the geysers at the right moment. Its moon, Attlerock, is quite simple, but also grants you more information regarding the other members of the Outer Wilds exploration team, and plants the seed of curiosity in the search for the Eye of the Universe. The Hourglass twins, Ash and Ember, work around the passing of time and how it deeply changes both of the planets simultaneously, making the former more accessible and explorable and the latter more hostile and perilous, to the point that you might be crushed in its deeper caves when the sand level rises too much. Brittle Hollow is possibly the most frustrating one in my opinion, but it's also such a cool concept, with this planet progressively falling apart in the black hole that stands at its core, allowing you to explore it with limited time, or perhaps explore parts of it from the White Hole station at zero gravity, perfect for the Tower of Quantum Knowledge for instance. Giant's Deep has such a unique atmosphere to it. It poses immediately the limit of a higher gravity, and the periodic storms and environmental riddles push you to think outside of the box. Not to mention the orbital probe cannon itself is another dungeon quote-unquote, rich with informations and other plot hooks. Dark Bramble is a nightmare, and I love it. Not much to say about it. It gives that vibe of you shouldn't be here, and heavily rewards you for either experimenting or simply with obtaining the required knowledge. Not to mention, reaching the vessel for the first time is quite the experience. There is more, like the Sun Station, the Interloper or the Hollow's Lantern, but you get my point. Gameplay-wise, the game has a lot to offer. Even if the gameplay itself could be boiled down to reading text, discovering lore and deal with puzzles, the experience itself is extremely rewarding and entrancing. This is the kind of game that pulls you in, I mean, the whole quantum moon riddle was something that, when I managed to complete, left me as ecstatic as speechless. The game is also deep outside of its gameplay aspects, as it touches the concept of existentialism, of faith, of purpose, and finality. It tackles the very question of life, evolution, ethics. What should be done for scientific progress? Is it good to sacrifice oneself and more in the pursuit of truth and discovery? Is there truly a meaning to a message of a superior being or entity? Is that being or entity even truly superior, or is just is? And we are trying to give more meaning to something that doesn't need it. And as for finality, well, that's a very relevant topic, but I'd like to keep it for later. For now, I would like to talk about the other concept mentioned in this video's title, absence. I'll tell you something about me. Yeah, I know, you didn't ask for it. However, this is my video, and my video are mostly going to be about personal opinions, about random stuff I care about. So, you know. I love stories. I mean, who doesn't, right? The thing is, not only I love stories, whether they are series, movies, manga, or anime, I also love making stories. I love writing characters, scenarios, worlds, lore, and the likes. This passion for stories makes me particularly interested in studying the ones I consume, surgically analyzing their virtues and flaws, and possibly being incompetent to even realize which one is which. Outer Wilds is such a personal experience, a story of research, a story that speaks to us directly, making us think that that supernova is something we must fix, that we must stave off the end of the world, only to slap us in the face with all sorts of intricate discoveries and impactful moments. It's a very human story. One thing that I noticed about it, though, was the concept of absence. Absence meaning lack of. Outer Wilds doesn't actually have any evil within. There is no villain, no master puppeteer, there is no malicious force or destructive greed. There is an antagonist, you could argue, but it's more abstract. For instance, you could consider time our antagonist, or just the general environment we're in. I say there is no evil, but I'm not saying that everything is happy. There is plenty of tragedy as well. Even still, there is no malice. The Earthians are extremely wholesome. The Nomai are possibly even more wholesome. In our exploration, we get to find clues about their people and culture. We find them poking fun at each other, talking about their lives, their loves, and their losses. Still ever determined to push towards their objective, that being the eye of the universe. Our dearest Solanum, for a moment when she was a kid, thought that the eye could have been an evil entity, considering what the Esco clan faced and sacrificed in order to pursue the signal, and how their culture shaped itself around that research. Yet, even that innocent thought matures into something else, into a form of acceptance. Outer Wilds depicts a story that, in my opinion, lacks any form of clear evil, and yet still manages to be deep and compelling. Earthians and Nomai are mostly positive beings. Eskal, the one who made the rush decision to follow that signal, wasn't moved by any ill feeling, lust or greed. It was purely the pursuit of knowledge, a pillar in Nomai society. The DLC, in a way, reinforces how that impulsive choice ended up being so important. The harsh condition of most planets aren't evil as they're neutral forces. The anglerfish, no matter how much I hate those bastards, still are merely animals, with no hatred or ill intent. Even the interloper, the Nomai's demise, was an unfortunate tragedy born by chance, no evil mastermind to guide it. It is extremely fascinating to have such a beautiful story, an adventure that underlines how video game can be an art form, yet it doesn't make use of evil to make it interesting. Some may argue about the stranger and its inhabitants. Whether you like to call them ghostbirds, auks, or I don't know, Jimmy, you could say that they are surely more negative than anything else in the game, and I wouldn't disagree. They're creepy, sinister, selfish, and there is lots of more horror-like moments regarding them, and man, if I hate horror with all my heart. Still, I wouldn't quite consider them as evil. Villains, perhaps, but not evil. What drives them in my eyes is not conquest, power, or defiance, but rather fear and guilt. They destroyed their own planet, discovered the Eye only to misunderstand its implications. Struck by fear and instinct of self-preservation, they decided to retreat in fiction, hiding themselves from their mistakes and responsibilities. I feel like seeing the stranger inhabitants not as evil beings, but as scared, ignorant, and overly nostalgic people stuck in a past they cannot recover enhanced the figure of the prisoner. The prisoner is not a heroic figure because he went against the evil villains. He's one because he saw beauty in that sacrifice, beauty in that finality. He accepted the end and what marvels that end could bring, allowing the universe to move forward, even if without it. That to me is much more impactful than just a simple quote-unquote good guys versus bad guys. Outer Wilds is such a good game. It tells a story that I genuinely believe could not have been told in any other way except via video game. I remember wrapping my head around the Ash Twin project, trying to put together all the pieces of the puzzle and have my jaw drop the moment I reached the 6th location. The interaction, the discovery, the mystery, it's all well put together, and it's so bittersweet as well. I feel like having an evil mastermind in the mix would have diminished the core theme of the game. It would have been an easy way out to pinpoint the guilt or the problem or whatever, while the game as we got it builds itself upon neutrality, sprinkled with tons and tons of positivity, funny characters, and sometimes tragic discoveries. The revelation at the sun station, discovering that they built it to make the sun go supernova, but not with the intent of killing everyone or becoming God or something, but rather for the scientific purpose and with the proper precaution to make sure that such a catastrophic act could be prevented, is a powerful moment. Seeing them realize that that could have been the only energy source strong enough for their project, and having some of them, one in particular, showing a hint of disdain towards that very idea, enriches the Nomai rather than making them feel like a more basic or flat villain. All this talking about scientific progress, energy, Ashtrain project, and all of that culminates in reading that the sun station is useless and will never be able to work as they wanted. The moment not only confuses you as the player, shattering the idea that you might have found the cause of the supernova, but pushes you to feel sorry for them, to feel bad for their enormous project that has just stopped, working in theory but just a couple of steps too far from actuality. The fact that they were not evil makes the moment even more bittersweet. Especially as right after this failure, the interloper would have reached the solar system, and the Nomai's curiosity and research would have soon faced an abrupt halt. And in its own way, Outer Wilds is a game about endings. Not just the fact that things end, but about the fact that an ending is not inherently a bad thing. That a final chapter opens the door to a completely new story. It's finality, and it's not bad. Without prior knowledge of the game, one may think that it's truly about a mystery that must be solved, a mission to stave off the end of the world. Yet, it does not take too much to realize that this adventure is not really about surviving. It's not about avoiding a recurrent demise. I think and I feel that it's about living, about embracing those 22 minutes, to experiment, to obtain all the answers, and then understand that the end is a part of the story. That death is not evil, and that life is something to be truly cherished. It underlines how little we are in the greater scheme of things, yet it also underlines how even the smallest person has the potential to leave the biggest mark. After all, you are the one who can finish the final chapter and allow for something new to be born. Knowing that in 22 minutes the sun is going to explode doesn't make a song played next to a campfire less endearing, or a roasted marshmallow less sweet, unless you burnt it, of course. And speaking of songs and music, I think it's important to mention how the soundtrack of this game carries so much of that sense of curiosity, melancholy, connection, and separation. It's that kind of score that inevitably manages to jump out of the game it comes from and enters the everyday playlist, if you know what I mean. Still, in the context of the game, it not only enriches various moments, but in certain cases defines them. I can never praise this game's OSTs enough. To me personally, Outer Wilds gave a little bit of hope and perspective. We live in a moment in time in which tension is rising, climate change is prevalent, and all sorts of problems, whether we're talking about society, economy, or whatever, pushes us to have less and less hope for the future. However, even in a mess, even in a reality that is fated to collapse, there is still beauty. There is still meaning. And there is still plenty to do to make things better and to create something new. Reaching the eye of the universe for the first time, listening to the song made by all the people we cherish throughout our journey, this final goodbye is as real as much as it's not. Does it even matter at this point if it's real? We are there without our own musical instrument, something that has characterized every one of our friends. In a way, it feels like our role in the symphony was always meant to be the conductor. That's a funny way to see it. This moment filled with warmth is in truth a funeral to the universe as we knew it, and a welcoming song for what comes after. It's an ending that's extremely personal. Everyone is going to experience it in their own unique way, and I feel like it's hard to be disappointed when those credits hit the screen. It's hard not to have felt something. After all, it's the ending of a story about accepting the end and the beauty and loss. A story that is just as about loneliness as much as it's about keeping in mind how we're never truly alone. Bittersweet at its finest. A story steeped in emotion and personality that lacks the malice that we're so used to see, probably more often than not. yet doesn't feel less real because of it. It's a story that will leave you something. Doesn't matter if you cried, you smiled, it made you think, or perhaps it made you feel oddly nostalgic. In the end, it made you feel, hopefully. And in my opinion, that is exactly what a story should do. Thank you for listening to this sort of rant about this masterpiece of a game. This is more or less my first attempt to a pseudo-video essay, and even this attempt has its own story in a way or another. Funnily enough, this outro is also part of the video, and the connection I share with the game. I started working on this script about a year ago, after playing it for the first time, without even having tackled the Echoes of the Eyes DLC. Then I dropped the idea of actively making a YouTube channel and all that it enticed, mainly due to lack of confidence, lack of skills, and all sorts of other excuses. Still, this was the game that made me want to try. And after lots of time and a complete rewrite of the first version of the script that was well beyond 40 minutes of length, I managed to make this true. Surely far from perfect, but it's here still. And of all the things and people I have to thank, this game is surely one of them. Among them, of course, there would be my best friend and basically manager that is responsible for the art that you'll see on this channel, but has yet to make a proper online space, so I cannot spam her yet. Soon, hopefully. Thanks again if you listened this far, and hopefully you'll stick around for more scuffed videos, convoluted rants, and analysis like this one.